So I just built this gaming PC. It not only has very similar performance as a PS5, but it also comes with all the perks and functionality of being on a dedicated desktop computer. Don't get me wrong, consoles are awesome. They have made a ton of improvements over the years and their performance is great, but you can't tell me they are better than PCs. Yes, they are easier, they're just plug and play and made just for gaming. PCs aren't made just for gaming, which is why they are better, but also can be more expensive. You can easily go out and build any PC that will be better than any console out right now, but the real challenge is getting it at the same price point. Now the PS5 costs around $500, so are you better buying a PS5, Xbox, or building a $500 gaming PC? I don't know. Guess you'll have to watch the video and find out. Let me show you how I built my console killer PC. Now I did only pay $360 because I did get some pretty crazy deals, but you can replicate this build for around the $500 to $600 price range. Let's start off the build with the CPU. I went with the Ryzen 7 3700X. This is an 8-core 16-threaded processor, which is built on the AM4 platform. That's really important and I'll tell you why later. Now the CPU in the PS5 is an 8-core processor like ours, but unlike our Ryzen 7, it can go up to 4.4, and the PS5 it's capped at 3.5 gigahertz. And you can buy this processor for around $104 on the used market. Now I did get mine for free. I was helping out my barber, I upgraded his CPU, and I also fixed his old PC, and he just gave me this as like payment. But like I said earlier, being on AM4 is important, because if you don't have the money for this CPU, you can just buy a cheaper one like a Ryzen 5, use it for a little bit while you save up for a better one. Now I'm pairing my Ryzen 7 CPU with some very simple, yet very effective computer parts. We got on the motherboard, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1 terabyte stick of gum. The motherboard I'm using is one I bought on Amazon warehouse deals. I scored it for $50 and it has everything you need. 4 DIMM slots, 1 M.2 slot, and it even has onboard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. For the RAM, it's a simple 16 gigabyte kit clocked at 3200 megahertz. We're only using 2 slots on the motherboard, so there is room for upgrades. Unlike the PS5, no upgrading the RAM there. Now for my stick of gum, I just went 1 terabyte. It's the A60 from Silicon Power. Now this is a really budget-friendly option, and it'll get the job done. Now to power all these parts, I'm using this Corsair CX 550 watt power supply that I had on hand. I bought it a couple months ago for 20 bucks on my Facebook marketplace. PSUs are hard to come by at a good price right now. But that is just what it is. Just don't pay more than like $50 to $60 on a new one. I will have some PSU options linked down below, as well as all the other parts that I'm talking about in the video. Now for the last performance part in this build, I'm pairing all my parts with this, the RTX 3060 Ti. I scored this bad boy for 200 bucks on my Facebook marketplace. It's an EVGA model, XC3, with 3 little fans. This thing is sick and I can't wait to use it. This GPU can be bought for around 250 bucks on the used market, but just like the CPU, there's a lot of different options. If you don't have the money for this, you can pick up like the RX 5700 XT for around 150 bucks, and it's basically an RTX 3060. And if you are curious, the GPU in the PS5 is basically the RX 6700 non-XT from AMD. Now Deepcool did send over the case and the cooler to complete this build, so let's build it all up, and while I'm building it, let me talk to you about the case and cooler. Time to tackle the case now. Deepcool sent out the CH560 Digital. It's a sleek and modern case with a focus on airflow. It comes in this black colorway and you have a white option as well. It has a nice mesh front panel with pretty good size holes, and you're getting a ton of airflow through there. And then on the tempered glass side panel, we have another mesh design, and the side panel also has magnets, so you don't even have to use a screw if you don't want to. The case comes loaded up with 4 addressable RGB fans. The 3 in the front are 140mm and the one in the back is 120mm. They are all controlled via a button on the case, but you do have the option to hook it up to your motherboard if you want. So the main thing with this case is the digital display that's on the side panel. It displays your CPU and GPU stats. You can choose whether to monitor the temperature, usage, or just have it on auto, which I have it set to. But that's not the only cool thing in the case. It also has a built-in and adjustable GPU sag bracket. And on top of that, it has a ton of cooling support for extra fans and radiators. So the display on the case is very similar to the one on the cooler that they sent out. It's the AK620 digital. It's also a really sleek looking design. It's a super beefy tower cooler and it comes with 2 silent fans. And as I said, it's the same display on the case, except it only displays the CPU stats. One really cool thing is you can control both the CPU cooler and the case from the same software. And this software isn't like a stupid app that sucks. It's super simple to use and doesn't take up a whole lot of resources on your PC. And this cooler also comes in black or white. I want to give a huge thank you to Deepcool for sponsoring this video and sending out those products. And I will have all of them linked down below, so definitely be sure to go check them out. The build is done, and honestly, building in this thing was pretty easy. It's a nice wide open case, tons of room to build in, and cable management was made super easy with the included Velcro straps in the rear of the case. So I was able to just slide the back panel on with ease. Other than that, this build, man, it turned out super clean. Unfortunately, my motherboard only has one USB header on it, so I can't have the cooler display on and the case display. So I just hooked up the case, but let's see if it even works. Moment of truth, baby. Oh, fans are spinning. Fans are spinning. All right, looks like it's about to boot. Let's just get some games installed and test this bad boy out. So for testing, I don't have a PS5 to test and get exact numbers, but the PS5 says it can get 120 FPS at 4K, but not in every game and not in every scenario. It's dependent on game title and if you even have a 4K 120Hz monitor or TV, which I don't, but I do have a 1440p 165Hz monitor, so that's what I'm using. And also one more thing, if the PS5 can't get 120 FPS, it will try for 60, so that's our bare minimum FPS I want on every title. I first tested out Fortnite at 1440p with performance mode, and it's safe to say we beat the PS5's 120 FPS. We averaged 194. Get shit on, kid. Get shit on, kid. Dude, where do my heels keep going? They cancel out or what? Get shit on. In Apex Legends, I tested at 1440p with basically all high settings except the shadow settings. I turned those off and we averaged 170 FPS, beating the capped 120 FPS on the PS5 again. Now in GTA was the same situation, 1440p max settings and we averaged 165 FPS. In Forza Horizon 5, I ran the in-game benchmark at ultra settings and it averaged 73 FPS. Now you could definitely lower the settings and get more frames, and that's something you can't do on the PS5. In COD Warzone, I just used the balance settings preset and selected performance, and performance is what it did. We averaged 99 FPS, although I kind of suck at this game and I'm a complete bot. Now for games that don't need to be running at 120 FPS, AAA titles, baby. I first ran Borderlands 3 with badass settings, which is their max settings at 1440p. In the in-game benchmark, we averaged 73 FPS. Next up is Cyberpunk. I ran at 1440p 1040p with ultra settings, and let's be real, we know the PS5 is using some type of scaling when it comes to the resolution, so we are too. My console killer PC averaged 64 FPS with ultra, and then with ultra ray tracing turned on, it averaged 48 FPS. Now the last AAA title, Hogwarts Legacy. I tried to use ultra settings and it was definitely playable, but I wanted at least 60 FPS, so then I dropped it to recommended settings, which was medium, and then the system averaged 73 frames per second. So, if you had 500 bucks, what are you choosing? A PS5, Xbox, or build a $500 gaming PC? Personally me, I'm sticking with PC. You just cannot beat the functionality of a desktop computer. Like I said, consoles are sick and their performance is awesome, but yeah, I'm sticking with Team PC. Everyone watching it now, comment down below what you're choosing, PS5, Xbox, or PC. And while you're down there in the comment section, you might as well just smash that like, do all the other things like subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and watch this video next if you want to see me put an RTX 3060 inside of a Dell Optiplex.